So, as somebody who lives in a big city but comes from a small town, I can totally relate to Gwen coming back to, her childhood home, being in her childhood bedroom, mom's rambling on about nothing, and things in the house that don't really make sense, like having the mugs on the top shelf and needing a stool to get there. Just little things like that were included in the film that I just thought brought so much authenticity and made it really relatable. Even, you know, wanting to sleep in and then having your mom barge in and the dog come in and it's chaotic and why aren't you up yet? Come, like you have chores to do. You have to help me with X, Y, and Z. That's just happened to me 100,000 times before. So I thought that was a really funny and just really helped me connect with the piece. Um, and I really liked the moment where Gwen was kind of at rock bottom. She had just, vomited in someone's yard and was laying out on the pavement. And it's all dark. And then all of a sudden, the Christmas lights come on. And you can kind of see that spark come back to her for a brief moment. And there was hope. And you kind of knew, like, she's going to be all right. She's going to go back to New York and she's going to be all right. So I really liked this. I thought it was kind of a little slice of life, very, very relatable. And I also loved the mom character. I think she totally, totally nailed it. I think she represents so many of our moms who has such a big heart and just wants the best for us, but also doesn't really take our BS. So, yeah, love this film. Fantastic job. And yeah, I really enjoyed watching it.
I thought this was really, really interesting. I think a lot of people, I think it needs to be normalized a little bit more. I think that in society, nowadays at least, it's very normal for people to kind of have a setback, I guess, um, and go back home. I think that it used to not be as normal or as talked about, and I think that as society and everything kind of just progresses, it's becoming a more and more common thing. It's becoming more and more normal, and I think it should be showed more in movies like this. I think it's great, and it doesn't have to be moving back home permanently, but I think that, I mean, I definitely know that when I was younger, I was just talking about this with actually my best friend, that when we were younger, we like assumed that like people in their 20s like had their whole lives together. And it's funny to me now that like I would assume that and think that. Um so it doesn't even necessarily mean completely moving back home, but just going back home when you're feeling a little lost and trying to, get your feet back under you again. Um, and I thought this was a really, really interesting way of not only showing, like, they did such a great job showing how lost she was and how she just felt really. She obviously didn't love being back home, but she clearly went there for a reason, so she wasn't loving where she was at in New York or Brooklyn. Um, so they did such a great job of showing you and making you feel just as lost as she was. And then you show all of these other people that she obviously grew up with, or even her mom, like from her hometown, how things keep going. And like, yeah, it's a small town, but they develop new traditions, or, her friend that, she, grew up with or was close with stayed there and, has a job and is really happy. And just all these different things. And, you show that life just continues to like move and progress, and you just have to find your place in it. You have to just make your own place in it, whether that is back home or in a new city or a new place. um I thought they did just a really great job of showing what it can be like to go back home once, you're a little bit older, you've, got away, you've moved away, and to return back and expect everything to be a certain way and it's not. um because you can always go back home, but home isn't always going to be the same. And I thought they did such a great job of illustrating that.
So I really enjoy like transition stories, pieces that are about that time after college or when you've moved to a new city or after a divorce when you're starting over. Anything about a time where you're feeling a little bit lost and kind of rediscovering who you are. And this piece was a treat because we get not only Gwen's story, but also her mom's too. They're both at these similar parts in their life where things are new and they're kind of figuring out who they are, what they want to do. And they have each other to contend with as well because they're sharing the same space. So I thought it was a really interesting story, and there are a lot of really great elements here too. It was relatable. If you've ever lived in a small town and then left and come back, you know how Gwen's feeling. I also loved the music, and I loved how it started with her being picked up by her mom and then dropped off by her mom in the same spot. Those bookends were really nice, provided a great symmetry to the piece. Overall, I thought this was really great, and I really enjoyed watching it.
Just finished watching Guin. I loved the cinematography in this. That was absolutely stunning. The camera angles that they chose, the lighting that they used, they made it very, very personal, but yet they diversified all of these angles while still keeping this really intimate feel to the entire piece. I felt like the story kind of meandered a little bit in places. It didn't stop me from enjoying it. I still enjoyed the film, but I felt like it could have been tightened up a little bit in areas. I thought the editor did a great job. They did a great job with the angles, keeping things interesting with the camera angles and the lighting and everything like that. Really nice work on the filmmaker's part on this. I thought that they did a good job.
Guin felt really relatable as a young adult, trying to find your way in life, just feeling lost. I really enjoyed the character of Guin, especially you see her as a young adult, but she's also back at home. She's back in that childlike state of relying on her mother, of living at home. You see her trying on her mom's clothes, going through her stuff, just like, you know, a lot of us would remember doing so as little girls. I thought that the mood and the tone of this film really shone through. You really felt what she was feeling, just that feeling of not knowing what comes next and feeling lost, feeling almost like a failure. I really enjoyed the parallels between her and her mother, how Guin was going through sort of her own quarter life crisis while her mom was going through a midlife crisis with a church choirman. So I loved the parallels in their characters, and I thought they had really great chemistry together as well.
Really interesting movie. It really reminded me of that post-college time when you're trying to figure everything out. It was interesting to see this story about this young woman trying to kind of sort through her past. It's kind of, she's trying to escape things a bit and trying to sort through things. It's just a lot of layers to it. The relationship with the mother is complicated. They're dealing with religions switching up and things like this. She's talking to friends that didn't leave home, and at the end where we see the mom with her blessing dropping her off, and seems like she's going to be going off. So there's a complicated journey that happens here in Gwen's life, and it's interesting to see, and it's easy to identify with, and in many ways. The actors did a great job. Gwen was great. The mother was, that was the core, obviously, of the piece, and they were just wonderful together. Seeing that conflict, there's love, but there's conflict. The friends did a great job too, and the folks at the church were very convincing. The guy in the choir with the new boyfriend was very, very convincing as that guy. So great job all around on that. It was well directed, well edited, nice script. Like I said, lots of layers here. So I hope this gets out there and gets seen, because it's a good piece.